And we are live. Hello,
Hello.
everybody. It is yet another Monday.
Hello, darlings. Happy National Coming Out Day, everyone.
Yes, and happy Indigenous Peoples
And happy
Day.
Indigenous Peoples Day. There's other things. Yesterday was uh, National Mental Health Awareness. I'm
Yes,
reading.
and it's actually International Day of the Girl today. So
There's a lot of international days.
if you all three today, congratulations. You're
I
very
do
welcome to
know.
lunch.
I think, so my job does this really cute thing. I work for the Department of Health, and they send, at the beginning of every month, they've started to send us, which is beneficial to us, the by like in the States and then worldwide, national days, international days, world
Yes,
days of like what's happening. Um, Typically, because it's the Department of Health, anything related to health matters, mental
right.
health, physical health. And I was like, this is so cute. It's
Well,
so
they
nice.
care. They're showing that they care. That's a good thing.
Yeah. And they're very big on supporting the trans community. So there's a lot of those days really get highlighted, which is really
Yeah,
sweet.
that's good to acknowledge those things.
Ooh,
So,
I got some interesting sex facts.
so you already know. Should we get to it because we already started kind of late.
Yeah, we already started late. Let's do this.
Hello everyone, my name is Chubi.
And I am Vanessa, and welcome to No
No
Filters, No
filters, no
Fear.
fears podcast. Today's
Ah,
level is a level 4 elephant, right? We chose four. Four is good.
we
Yes.
did. We did.
I mean, I wanted a five, but that's just kind of I guess we already know pushing
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I'd be interested. You guys are welcome to tell us if we were on point or off base with our trigger warnings or our elephants in the room. I think we've done a pretty decent job, like being considerate of like how some people may not, but maybe we're off. Maybe this is a five, and we're like it's a four. Go ahead. But today we're talking about the six.
Yes, today is let's talk about sex, the taboo, the everything that we're not even supposed to talk about. I don't know why. It's a great thing to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I mean,
liberating.
we're totally being cheeky because it's episode 69. But what better time? Uh, let's see.
Yes, we
So,
have interesting guests today, and I can't wait for you guys to meet them. You know, they too like to talk about sex freely and all the stigmas, and they like to educate the masses. So we're very excited to introduce you guys to them. But I know that Vanessa has some, I was gonna say some quoticos because I'm so used to it. I know you have some
I
stats because we don't need a definition for what sex is. I mean, do
mean,
we?
you'd be surprised. Like the other day, I was discovering that there's still like people that don't, like adults that don't really know how certain sexual acts are performed or how one can get pregnant. That that is very real. So yes. Oh,
Yes,
it turned off.
sex
My
education in school is so important, obviously, for many reasons, but we never got taught sex in school, at least for me in our time, in my time when I went to school.
when I was in middle school was the first. No, I was in school in New Jersey. And yeah, it was already middle school, and we had like the quickest like brush over of like sex get you pregnant and STDs. Try not to do it. Okay, bye. Right, and then you get a brief kind of uh, summation of um, becoming a woman, getting your period for the first time, and it was really uncomfortable because you're learning it from your PE teacher who's a dude, and he's explaining about like tampons and stuff. It was just odd. Um, and it doesn't have to be, right? It doesn't matter who's teaching it as long as they create a comfortable environment and make it something normal, not something, don't do it, you die, right? Which was kind of like the norm back when. You don't expect it now. Um, and then in middle school, I had this teacher. She was awesome, Miss Candela. She taught us how to put condoms on bananas, and she would like play videos about it. So there was like a sex education class, but then there was like a shame game kind of situation where it was like we would take tests, and if anybody did poorly on the test, she'd be like, "This is not who you want to have sex with," which was funny, haha. But at the same time, to this newly developing person who wants to be sexually attractive, you know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, why does nobody want to have sex with me? So it
Right.
was interesting. It wasn't until college that I took a human sexuality class and I was like,
Right. It wasn't until like college too where I was learning and experimenting and finding out that it is okay to want to know about your body. It is okay to want to experiment with other people, and it is okay. But no, middle school or high school, nada, nothing. We didn't get taught that at all. Like especially with the school we went to, there wasn't room for that.
I mean, you went to school in Puerto Rico, right? Most of your
Yes.
youth.
Yes.
Yeah, so when I was growing up, I didn't get all those sex ed classes were here in the US. In DR,
Right.
never in the
Right.
life. It has a lot to do also with religion. They don't want that kind of thing in schools. And now it's something, a very big conversation here in the States that's happening about sex education in schools and what age is okay to start, when not, what do you teach, what do you not teach, what is crossing a line, um, what should parents be teaching but don't, versus what should a teacher be teaching your child. It's a very interesting ground.
Right.
Um,
I feel like schools are lacking a lot of important things because we spend most of our time there. Because I didn't even get taught about my period either at school. We didn't get see we on. I remember just learning in middle school about giving birth, and I'm like, I don't want kids, so I'm not. Obviously, that's not
I was
happening.
obsessed with giving birth when I was a kid. I saw the video of my birth 1,000 times. And not because I'm a narcissist, because I thought it was so interesting. Well, my mom had me know it was a midwife birth and there was no epidural. So it was so interesting to me. Look, you're crazy. But look, you're like, no, that's not the video I want to see.
Nope. And well, I don't have videos of my birth, so whatever. But no, we didn't get, I feel like schools lacked, at least for me growing up, they lacked a lot since I'm always there. I didn't learn what I felt like about the human body, about who you are as a person and the things that you could learn. So yeah, I'm not sure. Anybody watching this, how do you guys like in school, what were you guys taught? Were you guys taught about sex or anything in general, your body period, like sexuality, sensuality, you know
Right. I
because
mean,
this
my
is
mom was a doctor, so I got to like my mom was really good about not hiding that kind of thing for me. She didn't talk about it with like when the little like she didn't try to like put birds and explain birds and like she told me like humans. She talked to me like you talk to an adult, a person. Um, and I learned pretty young because there's also the fear and the very real things that happen now, human trafficking, etc. And that sometimes the enemies aren't very far outside of your own family, right? But it was also a thing for her that I learned about it, actual facts, and also have a positive experience, not learn it as though it's supposed to be a shameful thing because it's not, right? And we learn all of these shames related to sex and sexuality when we're younger about no se toca el pipi, you don't do this, you don't do that. There's so many don'ts that then you don't know what is right or what feels organic, you stifle it. I don't know. I was like, do you want to read it? The most I learned was about periods. When it came to sex, it was just wear a condom and how to put one on and being told try not to have sex at all, basically. Yeah, pretty much. It's really interesting because at clubs now, what they do is that they put wristbands on girls, right, to know that they're of age, specifically going to the bar, but they don't give them to boys. This is why. Because if a boy goes up, boy, if a male goes up to a bar to buy a beverage or buys two, and the other one's for the girl, they want to make sure the girl that they're buying it for is of age, right? Good. Plus, it's a step in the right direction. However, what about other young men who get drinks bought for them? We act like things only happen to women. The vast majority of the rapes and things like that do happen to women.
Right.
But we need to take care of our boys too. Besides the fact that we also need to teach them to care for it. But we've created the
Right.
coddling society of, of that kind of mentality of like, you can do whatever you want. The girl needs to take care of herself and figure that out. Don't dress this way, don't do.
Exactly.
But then there'd
Instead of,
also, what about the boys? Yeah.
yeah, I think they should teach men to respect women when women say no, respect when a woman is declining you, just, be respectful and to not touch what's not yours, to just keep your hands to yourself, to be a
Goes back
gentleman, to do this.
goes back to that 2 hour consent episode. It
It was 3 hours.
was a 3 hour consent. So we real serious about consent, huh?
Because we covered all the bases, but that was a
Yeah.
very important episode that granted,
It was a
I know many
massively important episode.
I know many people were not able to sit through there and watch the entire thing, but it was necessary to talk about it. The content is out there if you guys want to watch it. It's there. Touch base on every single aspect of what consent is, starting from home to school to relationships to friendships. We needed that, and it's important. It's still happening. We could talk about it 7 ways to Sunday, and it still will be. It was the girl's fault, the woman's fault.
Yep.
Any
And it's very interesting because, of course, so what we do get taught, whether at school or at home, is so sex only based around relational situations. So husband, right, or these long-term commitments. Now we're seeing a lot more um openness and acceptance towards non-monogamy, towards marriage, I'm sorry, sexual relations out of wedlock, and things like that. Um, but it's still a lot of the statistics and the facts are based on how it affects marriage and how important it is to marriage because their society is based on what? Having
yeah,
a partner, right?
yeah.
Not on self exploration or self discoveries, as it were. But that's kind of shifting. Do you agree, or you think it's
I mean, like I messaged you before, or I told you before. Um, I feel like it's still. I've seen many cases to this day that women report rape in a marriage, and they don't consider that rape because they're married.
right?
Like I told you before, I feel like that should be looked into because just because you're married to someone, just like you said before, like if you're in a relationship with someone, a monogamous one, that does not give you the right to their bodies at all.
Yeah,
If they do not give you consent to hug you, kiss you, sleep with them, it's a no. And
yeah,
you're in a relationship with them and you force yourself onto them, it's still considered rape, whether you're married to them or not. So that thing that you're married to them, it doesn't mean anything, and it just gets canceled. I don't think it's no. I feel like we need to improve on that. It's too much. It's happening.
however, and yes, no, I agree. I mean, there's still a road to be paved,
Right.
but I in history, it's not like sex just happened. People just talked about it less, or they made it taboo because sex was not a taboo conversation. It is what created societies, communities, right?
Right.
Um, Now certain aspects of like decorum started coming into play as people started like, but in ancient Egypt, I learned this fun little fact, which I'm so happy to share with you about sex. I was never taught about sex.
Hey,
See?
Jaylee. Yeah, I
Not
mean,
in school or anywhere at all. See? Um, so this fun little fact, ancient Egypt, the red lipstick that so many of us make love. Oral sex was a very big thing in ancient Egypt. I didn't know that.
okay.
So blowjobs were a big thing in ancient Egypt. And one of the symbols of somebody who was open to this was um I love little panda, was wearing red lipstick. You wore red lipstick, it means that you were about it, you were into it, you were probably good at it. So different societies had different things. And now
Right,
with age, and we have, the kink community or whatever, where there's different symbols within the community so you can recognize people that are in the same lifestyle,
right.
there's collars, I believe, or I don't know if it's in polyamory or for swingers. No, it's for swingers. The bracelets on the ankle, if you had a bracelet on the ankle, you can talk, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So these kind of things, the unspoken, right? It became the
the
innuendo.
nonverbal. Yeah,
But I mean, how different would it have been if we were more um, upfront about certain things? How different it would have been for so much of our youth, right? For how so many um, diseases spread, right? If it wasn't made to be something that had to be hidden, that couldn't be discussed, that was quote unquote taboo. And then here's the thing, then you discover it and it's so delicious and it's so good and it's so exciting. And if you're doing it with the right people or person, you you know what I
unlock.
mean?
Yeah,
That
so
you're
many
like,
things.
okay, maybe I don't want to talk about this. I don't want anybody to come and crap on my parade,
Right.
you know? Es
No,
interesting.
and that's the thing. See, the things that I know today as an adult, it's because I read, and I got my curiosity out there. I'm like, I want to explore. Let's go, let's, go.
Let's try page 30.
you know, but that is the thing. And remember, like us right now, you and I, and anybody watching, I'm pretty sure there's 5,000 people out there. Like everybody is uncomfortable. Why? Because this is not a normal conversation people have.
I totally am. I talk about this all the time.
Right? Like I like talking about it because it's you need to express yourself. I feel like you need to talk to the person you're with, your partner, communicate, and it is fun, to talk about it.
I
Like I
think I this is a question I actually have for you and for the babies, for everyone.
everybody.
So have you found, and yes, you learn a lot from your actual sexual partner. But I feel that I learned more about potentially what I could explore or not feeling so lonely about things that I like that I thought were a little weird, whatever, from discussing with friends, right? I learn more from friends than from the people I actually do the chicky chicky with.
No, yeah, I have discussed with several friends about things, and they're like, "Oh, I've done this before." I'm like, "Really?" And then I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's explore that." But it is fun to talk about it, but shamelessly, and just like a normal conversation you will have. Just let's have the conversation as you were asking about the weather, because it's a natural thing to ask about different pleasures, position, this, whatever, But
Mhm.
like you said, it is a taboo, like amongst each other. You're not supposed to talk about it. You're not supposed to ask questions. You're not supposed to go explore because it's wrong. And it's fun talking about it. So yes, I've learned from my friends about cosas, other things.
Cosas. I mean, like most things, it's a societal construct, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Gender roles, sexuality, sensuality, you know, uh, moral ethics. It's all been constructed socially by whoever is pushing the dough, right?
Right.
And whatever needs to be served. Um, but It's so nice. It's so
Listen,
great.
we hear it in all the songs. We probably make people have their playlists, you
Right
know.
after this, everybody's gonna be like, "All right, hello."
You're right.
um, but it's also like on the whole thing of societal construct is when we've decided that a naked female breast is sexual versus a naked male nipple. Like it was a decided thing. It was a created no se hace. It
Right,
wasn't like that. Women in a lot of African tribes walk around topless, and their body is not sexualized. It is revered as being beautiful, as being the female form,
honor,
but it is
yeah,
not sexualized. In the US, our nation has this gift for over sexualizing the human form because at this point it's not even just the female form. However, they are more likely to cover up nipples on a woman and the vagina than they are a penis or any sort of phallic symbol because phallic symbols, right, have been accepted in art, in the arts, cinema,
right,
television, in statues, right? So the god Priapus, the guy with the big old peepee, they would put these
right,
like enormous, ridiculously enlarged phalluses on these statues to signify fertility, to signify all these
right,
things. But it was still, but look at all of the old paintings. Women were topless. It was not sexualized. It was just a beautiful, you know.
right.
Have
It
you ever
was
been to a
just,
nude beach?
yes.
Isn't it delicious?
And I've been to the erotic thing
The
in
World Erotic
Miami
Art
Beach.
Museum. The World
Yeah,
Erotic, yeah.
I've been to several of those. It's just a bunch of, just everything everywhere.
It's beautiful art, and I love that it's demystifying all of these things that we've placed so much odd significance to instead of just the enjoyment.
What decade was that you show some ankle and you were like, oh my God, you're showing too much? That's literally how I feel right now. Like you just show un poquitico and everybody's like losing their shit. It's like,
Yeah,
come
I
on.
I'd gone to I'd gone to I'd never been to the nude beach. We all know I'm on a journey. But I finally went. And I went with a friend. I've gone more than once. The first time I did not go with a friend. And it was more relaxing. I didn't enjoy, like in pedacitos. I wasn't completely naked. The last time I was able to just be on the bottom and I was so like in my head about it. Nobody's looking at you.
Everybody's enjoying their own
I'm
time.
walking around with that societal construct of like, oh, the boobs, the thing that and my friend goes to me, she's like, no, nobody's thinking of that. They're here trying to get an even tan.
Right.
No, and people come to you and they talk to you and they're looking at you in your eyes. And even if they look anywhere else, it's not in a lascivious way. It's we're here, we're in the beach, and we're
Right.
like
Like, what's going
normal.
on?
And it's really interesting to go from that bubble back to society where it's like if a woman with a teak, I would get in so much trouble. These girls need to breathe. Okay. I would get in so much trouble for wearing low cut things, but my friends with smaller breasts wouldn't. Right. So
So,
from that bubble of freedom and liberty of like, stand out to the world to like your boobs are too big, you can't wear that. That's a jump.
again, society as a whole is the one fucking everything up for everything. It's like, just let everything be? But it's true though. We know this. As society as a whole is the one that makes the rules. And it's like, what is it
Yeah,
to you?
but we are now in this society and we can change it.
Yes. So you're gonna share your status stats
Oh,
so then we can go to these beautiful, lovely humans that are waiting for us so they could share their goodness and all their loveliness of all their good stuff because we need to talk to them.
mm, I don't have to share the study stats because we started late and the study stats are really meh. I have fun facts for later that I want to share when the ladies are on with us because I think that they would have some very interesting
Oh
things to say
yeah.
about that.
I've seen their work and I love it. So here we
Yeah.
go. We're gonna bring them in. So they're waiting for us patiently.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, hello, hello.
Can
What's
you?
going on?
It's nice seeing you guys again.
Yes, yes, absolutely. We were watching your watching it earlier, and it was so good. I love the content. I love the conversation.
I mean, I caught some parts of it, honestly. Like, it was a little bit choppy at first. It was like a robot, but we read it between the lines.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm so glad that it fixed. I hope it fixed.
Yes.
yeah.
It,
We got
a,
you.
a lot of our usual listeners know to give us a heads up if we're chopping up or sounding like Mr. Roboto.
No,
Yeah, because
don't worry. I
we
don't think
know.
it was you. I think it was over here.
Okay, okay.
Oh, okay. Well,
Then again,
talk to us.
Yeah, I
Who?
think so,
What
too.
are you? What are you girls about?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh
So
yeah.
tell us about you. Tell us about you. Your moment to brag.
Let's go into the intro.
yeah, we
Yes.
got you.
All right. My name is Lisa. Thank you again for having me. I am the host and creator of Sex Talk Saturdays. Um, I guess we should just go right into that because I'll get sidetracked. I'll start telling you all about me and all these other things. But
Amazing, amazing. Check it out. Okay.
I don't know. I'm a very sexual being, and I love talking about sex. I love it, live it, breathe it, and um, I feel like we didn't get a very good education on it. I got really lucky, I guess, with the laws of attraction and certain people that I was around that were sex positive. But there was also a lot of like negative shit, that was taught to me. And so Amanda and I, we talk about sex all the time. And I'm normally a very inquisitive person. So on social media, I just started asking people random sex questions in the stories. And then I was like hella surprised with how many people were engaging with me. Like, I didn't know that I was being this brave talking about sex. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. I'm like, doing what? Like,
So, like,
you know what I
we're
mean?
very different in that way. Lisa, she like we can talk about it. Let's go. You know.
Yeah. She has a lot more private in that way. But I still roped her in and got her to do this shit with me. I asked her,
The balance.
I was like, yo, come and do this with me. We have, like an ill chemistry. We talk about it all the time, and we just want to learn from other people's experiences. We want them to learn from ours. We want people to be able to relate. We want to talk about the shit that's taboo. We want to say fuck the patriarchy, right? So that's what Sex Talk Saturdays is all about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the
I'm
funny
over
and like
here doing
nasty
silent
and like
responses.
crazy things too.
Hell yeah. Oh,
I feel
Yeah.
like it's lagging a little bit.
and Lisa's like, and scene.
Yeah. But yes,
Yeah.
how did the name Sex Talk Saturdays come about? Like, why Saturdays? And like, how did that all come about?
That's a good question. I felt like uh, when it comes to the weekend, I feel like in our society, mentally, that is the time of like leisure, this free time to do all of these things, right? So because it's such a crazy taboo thing, I thought maybe I could do this on the weekend where people, can it's their weekend to get down, right? To get away from
Sexy
everything else in your
time.
life. So I don't know. I just started, and it sounds kind of catchy. I was like, fuck it.
um. So, oh, ow, my knee. I just took it. So we were talking before y'all came on, and now you just mentioned it, how education around sex is limited, or it sticks to very particular things, right? Um, that aren't very informative and kind of lead you to believe that proceed with caution and not that sense of discovery or want, right? So where do you think, because now we're hearing all these conversations about sex ed in school,
Yeah.
where does that overlap happen? What is exactly the education that is missing?
All of it.
Girl. God, girl. Yeah. Started.
Yo, they lied to us.
Yeah.
Yo,
They lacked
That's why
us.
I'm not involved in Sex Talk Saturdays on a personal level because, like she said, I'm a lot more private. I normally don't talk about sex outside of like these kind of intimate conversations. But I just think the conversation was so important because there's so many people uneducated about basics. Basics. You know what I'm saying? We're talking anatomy. We know women that have never even like looked at their vulvas before. Like, what do you mean you never looked at yourself
Yeah.
before? You know what I'm saying? Like, just a lot of different things when it comes to all things sex, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and as we evolve with so many different things, even with all things gender fluid, I feel like there's just so much that we have to talk about. The
Yeah.
conversations are endless. There's still so much that we have to learn, you know? I feel like
Yeah.
all of it is missing. I didn't get in elementary school. I think I was in third grade when I had my first sex ed class, which is very different from a lot of other people. It wasn't until like later, right?
Yeah.
But the diagrams of the human body weren't even.
An
Oh
actual
my God, they were
Anatomically
so little.
correct.
They were like Barbie dolls.
It looked like a Ken doll. It was just like smooth. There wasn't anything there. They didn't want us. They didn't want to show the genitals. Like, oh, don't. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
strange.
Pleasure isn't on the list at all. Consent.
All right.
You
Yeah.
don't hear about the word consent until you're way out of high school, and then you're like, oh, it's a problem by that point, you know?
And even
Right.
then, it really wasn't a thing until recently. That
Say that
consent was
again.
like, I feel like even then, consent, the importance of consent and what it looked like didn't become a thing until very recently.
Yes, I agree
Because
with you.
consent was just something taught in theory. Like if they try to touch your baby, you say no, right? Like very
Right.
basic, but it wasn't you you don't owe your body, you don't owe anything to anyone. If you are uncomfortable, step away. And it's not just consent sexually, right? So like
Right.
the spectrum of what consent can cover became a very real thing now, which I'm so glad.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, no, I think that that's such a real thing. There's a lot of, I think the consent is very black and white, clearly, right? But as you're
Mhm.
growing up and you get into these, these areas that you're trying to navigate as a young individual, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would have been nice to have some conversations about consent.
Absolutely.
And, when alcohol is involved, and I mean, it's a really, really, really big issue.
Yeah, even in interpersonal relationships, it is important to know about consent. And now maybe this is something that you guys will get very excited about talking about. Consent in interpersonal relationships when you're actually exploring, right? You're
Uh-huh.
trying something. People feel uncomfortable talking or saying no to their sexual partner
Yes.
if they feel it's going to be the turn off or the thing. You can say no. There's
Yeah.
other things that can be done.
Yeah. Yeah. And we just said sexual coercion, or like is that how you say it?
Coercion, yeah.
Like coercion. Because like I was talking about like a hookup, a shitty hookup that I had once, right? And as I was telling the story, she was like, "Do you hear yourself telling this story?" And I realized that like I had been coerced into this like sexual experience that I really didn't want to have. And didn't really even know that that's what it was until like I was a grown adult having that conversation and being like, that's what that was.
Right.
I mean,
That's
literally the
happening.
next day I got a phone call that was like, hey, I'm sorry I was so pushy. You know what I'm saying? Like the girl called me and was like, I'm sorry. So she knew that there was like something wrong happened, you know?
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
But damn, those conversations like I needed those in my toolbox. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We definitely all needed that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
So
it's the thing.
I love the idea, the concept of the toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
Of the what?
So
The toolbox, honey.
the
Oh yeah.
toolbox.
I need it. I
So
need my toolbox.
so
Trying to get through this one.
separately, and this goes for y'all that are watching, like put it in the comments as well. And Chubi, you are answering. Haha. So in everybody's toolbox, Lisa, Amanda, Chubi, all our lovelies, in this toolbox, what do you feel was missing for you? Let's I think elementary is already when that the curiosity really starts to peak.
Yeah.
What needed to what let's keep it a four. What four things needed to be in that toolbox for you? or would have been useful to be like, oh, somebody's putting this in my toolbox, so I know when these ideas, these uh, like inquisitive and curiosity started peaking, what would have been in that toolbox that would have been helpful?
I think the importance of self-care would have probably been number one. Like the importance of like self-love and self-care, because like, Disney fed us all the shit. So we grow up thinking that like we're supposed to like find someone and love that person, and that person's supposed to like just be our everything and happily ever after and like all of that shit.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't happen that way, and then you like spiral out of control because you're loving someone more than you love yourself. And that's the whole thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's the whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Oh shit.
That's important in the toolbox. So what's an important thing that would have been in the toolbox that would have been helpful for you, Lisa?
Communication, man.
Ooh,
Communication.
that's one of our favorite words on this show.
Mhm.
It makes sense. We have talk shows.
Yeah, like we're trying to get people to connect. We're trying to get people to communicate out here in these streets.
It makes sense. It was what was lacking, so it makes sense that now I'm the damn host of the talk show. Like,
All we're gonna do is talk.
yeah, we're gonna talk about this now.
The
Communication,
Upset
I dig it.
child in me
You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have a talk show. We're gonna do it now.
needed more
Yeah,
communication. So we're gonna
yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Word.
Shubi, what would be in your toolbox?
Yes.
Everybody's naming everything for me. Self-love, communication, like not doing things because other people are telling you to do it, just because you want, explore because
Yeah.
you want to. Um, everything. The power of saying no, like
Yeah.
if I would have learned that younger, you know,
Yeah. And how strong your voice can be in that.
Wow, the power of saying no.
Like sometimes like our voices are so strong that we can shake people. We can shake a moment. We can shake the world. You know what I'm saying? And I think
Yep.
especially like growing up as a little girl, you're not taught that.
Yep.
And I just think that we do a disservice to young people everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Period.
Amongst the amazing things that you have all said, agree. My toolbox would have had it's okay to feel pleasure too. It's not just
oh
about, right?
yes.
But also, it's not just about the orgasm, right? And I feel like those two go
Okay.
hand in hand,
Wait,
right? So
what goes hand in
that
hand?
it's the you're that you can feel pleasure too. It's not just about the person that you're engaging with or persons you're engaging with having pleasure. You can have pleasure too. And also that it's not just about get the orgasm, just get it, right? I feel
Okay.
we get so in our heads. You miss the fun in the middle of it, right? Because you think it's for a long time, this was the conversation I heard amongst my group of friends. It felt like a job to get your partner off.
Yeah, it turns into
That's
like
crazy.
performance or something instead of like this
It's performative
engagement.
Yeah, you're looking
versus
at it wrong.
Right.
actually engaging,
Mhm.
being in the moment, the discovery, and you can do all of the things, and the orgasm may happen, may not happen. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think
when it
sex is
feels like a job, you don't want to do it again, do you?
Right.
That's so funny that people are.
Right.
So
Well, that's a whole
I
other conversation.
I've seen your pictures, and you both are sensual in your expression when you're taking photographs. Are
Oh, wow.
you both comfortable truly doing that, or is it like you guys want to, because I know you both are artists as well, but do you feel like you're making a statement, and do people, obviously I'm pretty sure, like shame you guys when you've posted these photos because they're beautiful. I've seen them. Have you seen them, Vanessa? I'm gonna send them to you.
I have not seen the pictures.
Yes,
What?
thank you.
thank you.
Thank
Shubi
you so
has an
much for
eye for
that.
this because they're a photographer. They have the eye.
Oh,
But I
Trudy,
also
that's true.
I'm big on observing. I'm a very visual person, so I will be looking at all the pictures.
Yes, I'm so here for that. That would be amazing. I don't know. For me, I'm very comfortable in my skin, especially at this point. I'm 35. Like, I'll
If it
do
You
comes
it.
with 35, I'm about it.
You
you
know
look
what
like
I'm
a
saying?
baby.
Ah, thank you.
See, you
Thank
see,
you.
like that means when I'm older, I can pull it off even longer.
Yeah, and all the self care, man, all that self care, it really does me good. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm very comfortable,
Yeah,
and I know Lisa how to feel.
I'm really comfortable too. Shame, maybe a little bit. I think
Always. There's
I,
always that.
I know there is always that. I haven't felt too much shame. I think there are some people that I make uncomfortable for sure because I'm so comfortable with myself.
Yeah.
But for the most part, people show me love. But there are a few
They
people.
gonna say it to our faces. I know that shit.
No. And then between the two of us, like we have a very like intimate familial bond. So we're very like comfortable with each other. I think a lot of people think that we fuck each other.
Yeah. They think that we are lovers or past lovers. They don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Normalize platonic lovings.
Yeah. He's my whole ass soulmate.
Yeah, man. This is hermana.
Hi.
Yeah. Oh, y'all just had a moment.
You're so cute. I can't.
Girl, you should. Yeah, we do moments all the time, girl. Like, nice and clean. I love you. You look amazing. You look amazing.
You
Like,
guys, like,
just here to gas each other up, you know?
so lucky.
Well, what Shubi and I were talking about before, and you guys could talk on this, is I feel like I learned more from my friends, and not just talking. Also, I'm like, girl, no, it's like this, and like we show each other our toys. We've gone shopping for our toys together. You learn more from your friends and that comfortability and that ability to really be yourself without asking permission
Yeah.
sometimes than you do from your partner, and then you know what to ask or say to the partner.
I love that, but the only catch with that is that the information, the answers that you might be receiving might not be the right answers. You know what
True
I'm saying?
statement. True statement.
But I am 100% receiving what you're saying, like this non-judgmental safe space. We just created a safe space, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's like
It's
Chugi says,
crazy
you may
how
get the information, still look it up.
I missed it.
That Chubi is big on reading is essential. So you may get the information and feel comfortable, still look it up.
I'm still
Okay.
look it up. I'm gonna look it up.
Your
Wow.
sources. Check your sources. I'm big on that shit.
Vanessa,
Right.
See?
And like Vanessa was mentioning about showing toys or this or that, you also need to see what you're also purchasing and what you're actually putting in your body or whatever, vice versa, and other lubricants and things like that. But this is also a taboo. We don't talk about toys. You're not supposed to say right now on live whatever that you have toys in your, home, because you don't do that.
I know
You
it's
know?
wild.
Hello, welcome to the 21st century. Come back here, okay? Like this is, I feel like the mindset is like so behind. It's like, come back, come here,
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
We're trying out here in these streets, so we'll make these random surveys, right? They'll be like 3 to 5 questions long, very basic questions,
Simple.
but they still can be very introspective about anything sex. It could be just anything.
Yeah, the questions are
menstrual
kind of
cycles,
simple. Yeah.
insecurities in bed,
Yes.
sex with an ex,
Yes.
random things. And then we like pass them out to all these people, get all of the answers, like chop it up, make a compilation video, and then like show it on Saturdays.
Right.
So you just see like all of these different perspectives from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
You see like just how progressive some people's societies are, or the opposite.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
but it's so important because then they sit and watch the whole survey, and then they're like, "Oh shit, I didn't know that there were 3 holes down there," or
Oh my god.
that
Yeah.
I don't know, that I can go to the clinic and get this information, or whatever. So
blood comes out from there.
What is your favorite topic Like,
I'm
what is
sorry.
your favorite? What do you have a favorite topic that you seem to always come back around to? Any particular thing?
Ooh, what's yours?
God, honestly, I love all the topics. It's hard for me to pick one. What do you think?
I think I have two.
What are your two favorites?
I love the anal sex survey,
That was a good one.
and I like the aftercare survey.
Yeah, those are both really, really good. Yeah.
The aftercare, I feel like, is super important. We lack so much on that.
Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
can I please just say for anybody who's watching or listening, aftercare, and this is a misconception that I've also heard, is not just for people in the kink community. Aftercare applies to all of the sexy time.
Yes.
Okay?
We're here for the vanillas.
Yes.
Here for you
Y'all, I keep
too.
dropping the phone. Look at me. I got excited and it fell.
Yes, exactly. All. And some people don't even believe that. And I sit
Yeah.
here and I'm like, are you listening to yourself? So what do you do after? Like, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
What is
And what? No, go.
No, I was just gonna ask them, what is the most bizarre thing you've ever like heard from anybody in obviously sex related, duh, right?
Like in
Bizarre.
yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we spoke about this too. Like weird dirty talk in bed, or like just the well, you said most bizarre.
You go first.
Yes, and like the most
There's so many things that we've heard, and I don't know if like bizarre is like the right word, because I'm not gonna like shame nobody's kink. You know what I'm
But
saying?
it's
I'm not here
well,
to,
interesting.
yeah, most weirdest, I guess. Yeah. What
you know what I'm saying? But I understand like when you hear it and you're kind of like mind blown.
right, right.
Yeah.
We
So
don't
I
shame
remember,
nobody here.
yeah, like a little like, oh shit, that's crazy. Um, I don't know, maybe the growling thing with T in
Okay.
her survey.
Okay.
Or I had a girl tell me once that I was really young. I was really, really young. I might have been like 20 years old. And I had a girl tell me that she met a guy for sex and he had like a bunch of dildos and strap-ons and she pegged him. And this concept, like, it blew my mind. I was like I was basically a little fucking girl, you know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, that's crazy. And now I'm like, oh yeah, that's like a regular Tuesday for some people, you know what I mean? Like that's nothing. What about you? What's the most bizarre thing? But I do think that the growling like a cheetah thing that was really funny.
I would have been like, what? What's happening?
Yeah. So some people really like that growling.
Primal
thing.
play.
Feel primal.
Yeah,
Right.
it doesn't bother me, but it didn't surprise me when this one was talking about it.
Yeah. mm, I don't know if I'd be into the growling. Maybe.
Hey, if you're growling, I'm here for the growl, baby. Let's go.
I was going to say,
If the action is
it sounds
backing up the
crazy,
noise
but
that's
in the
happening.
moment.
In the
There it is.
moment.
Yes, don't just be like walking up to a nigga growling and be like, oh shit.
Yeah, no.
No.
They may not do it.
I
No.
don't know what's the weirdest thing. I don't think anybody's said anything too crazy. I just know that there was a time when I was like sleeping with a guy that I don't know, he wanted his ego strokes and I just wasn't into it. Like my pussy wasn't being pleased enough, for it. So it was just like one of those guys that's like, you love daddy's dick? Like tell me you love this dick. Like tell me it's amazing. Like blah blah. And I'm just like, oh my god, seriously, bro, like come on, like just do it. Fuck.
Right. No,
Oh,
yeah,
that is
that's
terrible.
Yeah.
no,
Oh my God,
no.
that's fucking hilarious.
They just sometimes they just don't
If
even
it
know.
was, I'd be saying it, but I'm not, so just do.
It's the energy for me. You know what I'm saying? It's the energy for me. Don't do that.
Ever. Like
What is
Don't come with that weird shit.
what is the strangest thing you've heard, Chubi?
My
Here we
brain
go.
was not even there. I was still thinking about what they were saying. Honestly, I wasn't so zoomed in into their conversation. I was like, I have no clue. My brain, now I have to think. You go first if you know something, because my brain is not. I'm over there.
I
The
mean,
growling.
okay. I won't use personal examples because we all know I'm a little off the kilter.
No,
No filter.
That's hilarious.
But no, I do remember the first time. So I lost my virginity when I was 19, and I lost it to the man I ended up marrying. Um, but and then thereafter that was a wrap.
Right,
But
right, right.
but like after I got divorced, I started like people felt more comfortable talking. It's funny because when you're married, people are afraid to talk about sex around you sometimes.
It's so true. That's so interesting.
I'm like,
Wow.
I have it, y'all. Like, so
You're off limit
they
when you're
started
married.
talking, yeah, but they started talking about sex around me more often and more interesting scenarios than I had heard. This one guy, I'm an actor, so I was doing a play, and this one guy, we're in rehearsal, we're in the green room, we're chilling, and he starts telling the story about having sex with this girl, and she just couldn't get into it until he got a little bit more forceful. And I was like, oh, that happens sometimes. He goes, no, 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 no. She donkey kicked me. I wasn't ready for that. They were in it. It was passionate. Everything was going good. And she's like, I need more. I need more. And he's like, what do you need? And she's like, stand in front of me. So he's like over her. She reared back her legs and donkey kicked him in the chest. And,
I just
and when the wind was knocked out of him and he was like, and like in pain, and like, what the fuck? And she was like, pounce. And he goes, it was the best sex I've ever had. I don't even care that I had bruises. I was like,
Okay.
it's always the crazy one.
It's always yo.
it was, but
That's the
she
better
just needed that
version.
one
Oh
donkey
my
kick.
god, crazy.
I mean, that's
I think I would have
Okay,
walked out of the donkey kick. That's my personal boundary.
We would
yeah.
have
You
walked. We're
consent, so
walking.
you gonna start
Goodbye.
hitting me in bed. You know, like don't put your hands up. You gotta like get consent before you start putting your hands on me in bed.
donkey kick. Like,
Right?
what if you land you
None of that. No donkey kicks. No donkey punches. Nothing. No donkey. No
She
donkey
would
leg
have
Yeah,
kicks.
that
stayed.
was one that really I was like, oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, she would have stayed right there. I'm like, see ya. Never.
Yeah. You enjoy donkey time. No. Did anything pop up in the process of this, Julie?
Vanessa's like,
Yeah,
talk about
I like
motivation.
a little bit of pain in bed, you know. I like a little bit of pain in bed, but if you kick me in the chest,
Yeah,
right?
but there's like limits.
If I find on a scenario, I'll bring it back to y'all. But for now, my brain is
Yeah,
done
it's
for
more than
today
enough
with this
information.
donkey kick. No, donkey
Um,
kick done.
do you
Like,
have any tips?
so funny.
Do you have
Mm,
any tips or tricks for those that want to um engage in something that might be a little bit more risque or requires a little bit more delicate, like to be delicate at first? How to approach those kind of conversations with a sexual partner if you're not used to having those kind of conversations?
One, be willing to have the conversation. Like, if you're not willing to like have that safe space with your partner, like you are in the wrong relationship.
exactly.
untrust
Yep.
relationships.
Yeah, you are
Um,
not.
thank you.
You don't do that.
Okay, thank you. Like, I don't even know what to tell you. I I'm still here in the thick of it, doing my best with my toolbox to try to communicate to people. And,
You're good. You're picking up.
you know, use your boundaries and things. It can be tough sometimes, but I would just encourage people to be brave. You've got like, what have you got to lose?
You only got one
Yeah.
life. Get that orgasm, honey. Let them know what's up. You know? Oh my
I
God.
applaud this. Applaud. I speak
Yeah.
English, I promise.
Honestly,
um,
you know, so important. Communication.
so absolutely. And
Totally agree.
specifically, since we were talking about this before, and we know Chubi is big on reading is essential.
Mm,
Yeah.
Y'all, I'm gonna say this, so we can't leave this show without me saying this. So specifically, and I'm thinking predominantly in the kink community, but there's a lot of people that want to experiment with other things that are adopted, right? Uh, don't just try crazy shit. because you saw it on YouTube.
Oh God.
Please.
Or you saw it in a porn. Yes, girl.
Or
Preach.
you
Let
saw
me
it in
know.
a or you saw it in a porn. Those things are acted, y'all. Please read. People die of suffocation. People, lose limbs and things like. Be safe. Pleasure
Mm.
does not mean you need to break shit, right?
Right, there's a show on
Choking
Channel
can
3
be
about that.
delicious,
Is there?
right? Choking can
Yeah,
be
there's a
delicious. You
show.
do it wrong, they break your trachea,
Yeah.
right? You can't speak anymore. You can't breathe anymore. You might just croak right there, and that'll be traumatizing for them, and you'll be gone. So it's like enjoy it, discover it, but read up on it before you do it.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Seriously.
We never read about that shit. Like, I got
You were
lucky.
saying about a
Yeah,
show.
seriously. I'm sorry?
You were saying about a show.
No, about joking.
Oh,
she, she said that she doesn't think that any of her girlfriends ever read on anything, so she got really lucky that they didn't like break anything.
The
uh,
joking. Didn't
well,
break
sometimes
anything.
people, yeah, some people get so afraid that they like don't really choke. It's just this, so it gives the impression. But
Uh-huh.
there's, let's not. We don't ever put hands here. Look, Vanessa
No,
teaching
no,
y'all a little
no.
something.
I don't know. I
We're
just
not doing this up here.
yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I never read on it. I should now that we're having this conversation, but I've done it, but I know I feel like I know, I know I'm not gonna kill you.
I do think it is very important for people to do their research, even people who listen to us, because I'm not a professional.
We're not
I'm
professionals.
a mere researcher and just talker myself. But especially in the kink community, Vanessa, that's so huge. I think that um, the start of everything kink, it started so long ago, and I think that there's a huge history behind it that a lot of people don't know about. And even when I went into it with a very ignorant mind, kind of just like horny and like, yeah, what's it fuck me hard, and that's all it is, but it's not. Going in as submissive, looking for like a dominant energy, I learned how important it is to really know what the hell you're doing, who you're messing with. There are a lot of people that work out a lot of their traumas in the kink community. There's just so much to know. There's so much to care about, dealing with other human beings and all of their like vital parts. So I I just want to second that. Like,
Yeah.
everyone, please do your research.
Really important.
It's not just a trend and a fun thing and just latex that you wear.
Yeah.
It is a whole kink community. People live and eat by this. There are sex workers, survival sex workers, and there's just so much, in it. It's not that play with. You don't put some respect on that shit.
We
Where
agree.
where do you sit on like mental health and sex?
Oh
Mental
yeah.
health and sex.
Yeah, that's very huge. I think I'm still learning about it. I started really looking more into it when I started getting into kink. And I started, and really when I just started taking care of myself more and understanding like my sexual energy and how much power it has and other people's. I just started thinking about like mental health and how it connects.
Mm.
Yeah, I think mental health plays a huge part in sex. If your mental state isn't clear, you're either going to be making, it's going to fuck up your sex life one way or the other. You're either going to be having no sex, or you're going to be having irresponsible sex, and you're going to be trying to seek something that you really need to like get right up here first.
It's like a drug for us. It's like a drug for a lot of people.
And I think that sex is a very big drug for a lot of people. And that's another part of that education that we should have gotten as teenagers, that nobody ever talked about sex addiction. What? I didn't hear about sex addiction until I was older. And then I was like, you can be addicted to sex.
And then they invalidate it. When you do hear it, they invalidate it as a real addiction.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. And it is very 100% valid. And like she said, people work out their traumas through sex. There's a lot. There is a lot to be, you know, uh, looked into and respected when it comes to people's sex lives and how mental health plays into that.
Yeah, 1000%. And to be clear, as we always do on the show, we are not
Therapist.
therapists.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah,
I,
we are not therapists, but
Yeah.
we do the sex. Okay. So this is
I'll
also
do the
from
sex in a while,
experience.
but I do the sex.
We do the sex. But
We just sharing what we're reading, what we know. So that's
yeah.
all. That's
Right.
all.
But on that note as well, those that have sex addiction, what is wrong with my mouth? Sex addiction.
Like that.
That is very real. But also, there is nothing wrong, y'all. For anybody out there, don't feel judgy pants because it's not. There's nothing wrong with using, not using, having sex as a sort of coping mechanism. As long as you understand, like you're very clear on why it is you're doing it, right? But once it
Intention.
gets out of hand, you need to hold yourself accountable and really check in with yourself as to why. But there's nothing wrong with wanting to feel good
I
and
feel that.
wanting
Yeah, I understand
to
what you're saying.
escape
Yeah,
that,
absolutely.
right? Because there is a line between coping with steps towards healing, and that can be like, I just need a joint to relax,
Yeah.
right? I just need a
Oh
drink
yeah.
to relax. That is a coping. But we know that when we
Right.
cross a certain point with the alcohol or a particular substance, we already know that we're getting into deeper territory. The same thing applies to sex. The same thing applies to playing video games. When we cross certain lines, we know we get somewhere else. But there's nothing
Right.
wrong with using it as a coping mechanism. It's
Sure.
actually very positive because you're connecting with another person. You're stepping into your sexual power, enjoying yourself, feeling good. There is nothing wrong with that. Ugh.
I feel that.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think I
Vanessa.
use sex to deal with stress
Yeah.
a lot. I think everybody does. We're human beings, you know. We relieve energy and stress, you know, through sex. So I definitely understand what you're saying. But once it becomes unhealthy as far as the choices that you're making or the partners that you're, um, you know, having, then it can get risky.
Yeah, yeah,
Sex can be risky. By the way, get tested. Whoever's listening, get tested. We always talk
Yes.
about it. We're big on getting tested.
fun fact, because I'm the statistics person. You have sex with the person or persons that your partner has, whatever sexual partner you have, has had sex with for the last 7 years.
Yep.
Shelly,
So that's why testing is so important because some things don't show up right after you've had
Oh,
uh,
yeah,
okay.
sex and things like that. They can show up afterwards. That applies to whatever sexual partner or partners you may have, or even yourself, right? So consistent testing out of respect for your body, for your own body, and out of respect for those that you are sharing
Anybody
your
else?
body with.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And that's
Yes.
another thing. They think that getting tested is like, oh my God, why are you getting tested? Do you have something? No, I just want to make sure we gotta get to take care of ourselves. It's important.
Have
yeah.
either one of you ever had a partner that that was important to, that brought it to your attention first?
No. I was
about
I
what do
was
you,
always the first one to bring it up. I'm like, I'm not doing nothing with you until we get tested. I don't
I
know
am
who.
too. Yeah.
I love that.
oh wait, what I so the
Have you
question
ever had
was,
a partner, a sexual partner that asked you about um, STD testing? Like, did you ever have a partner that found it important and brought it up first?
whenever I feel like, so also like in the polyam community, that kind of conversation just happens automatically as
Yeah.
soon as there's like any interest beyond, right, the um beyond like, oh, just we're hanging out. No, this might become a little a thing. There's always like, what are your practices in sex? How often do you test?
Word.
And I feel like even if you're not non-monogamous, that should be a conversation because people have sexual histories, and when you're dating, you do things. So like I think it's always just been part of like the getting to know each other conversation.
It is. It is. That's when I first found it in the
Yeah,
poly community. That's when I found people that
Ah,
gave a shit. Yeah.
yeah.
we
I
don't
don't know
play.
always that. I just think it's super, super important, you know? And it's every 6 months. You're supposed to ask. Sorry, you're supposed to get tested every 6 months because of exactly what you said.
Yep.
Exactly. I'm over here like, no, people don't think it's normal. They automatically assume that you have to have something in order to get tested. I'm like, that's when it's late. Like that it was it's late. You don't even know when, you know.
Bruh,
Let's catch it before.
That too. Honestly, I just realized that too. As we're having this conversation, I'm like, so wait, does that mean that people aren't getting tested until something seems wrong?
Right.
Which is really
I'm itchy. I'm gonna go test now. Like, with me?
That's crazy.
That,
like when you go to the gynecologist, don't you like they give you the test with the it's a whole test, you know? Like at least that you're not doing that. Okay.
No.
my beautiful, lovely, ladies out there, please get your pap smears.
Yes.
Important. HPV is one of those things that you cannot really trace all the time. You can't test, men can't get tested for HPV, but it can give you cervical cancer. My friend had to have a hysterectomy because she had undiagnosed HPV until it was too late. There are treatments, there are shots. Do your pap smears. It's important. It's not just about HPV, it's other things as well. Vaginal health is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in fact, it affects your whole body.
Yeah.
Your whole body.
Yeah. Get your
Just like
checkups,
your
man.
teeth.
Yeah. Pap smear, could have saved my life at one point. I had like cervical cells, like cervical cancer cells that were like cancerous. And they went there and they froze them all the way and they did whatever magical thing that they did. But it's so important because if I went without getting treatment, that shit is real. That's real life shit.
Yeah.
And for the gentlemen, do not be afraid to have a finger up your butt. Okay? It is important to check your prostate. Younger and younger men are having difficulties because their prostate doesn't necessarily mean cancer. It can mean other things, but check it out. It is important. And check your testes.
Check your diet. Check your diet.
Just get your physicals from head to toe, brain, mental, everything. Just check yourself.
It's funny because people will go to the doctor and like not do certain things because of that same reason. I'm glad you brought it up, Truby, because it's true. People won't get tested about certain things because of the fear of the judgment, even from the doctor.
That's crazy.
I know for a long time I felt more comfortable going to Planned Parenthood versus an actual gynecologist because I felt less judged in that environment.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree with that too. I can agree with that too.
They make it very safe and they have gynecologists there. It's not like you're getting Pepe off the street who threw on a white lab coat. Yeah, so they made it feel comfortable. You could talk about having multiple sexual encounters or having multiple partners, and it didn't feel like you were going to be ostracized. There are doctors who have made their patients feel uncomfortable because of their own belief, and they don't mean to put it on their face, but it's all of a sudden there.
Right.
The face of judgment.
The glasses and shit.
Yeah. So, but whatever makes them comfortable is not your problem because you're going to be the one who's sick. So,
right. So, we're getting to that point in the show, and you already know.
Yes. The final thoughts.
Well, we have to ask the ladies where they could be found too, before we give. No, share us your information. Give us where we could find you. Anywhere.
Well, all right. First, STS official on Instagram. That's our sex talk page. S.T.S official _ That's a lot, but it's fine. And I'm also an artist, so if you like colors and music and all of those beautiful things, you can follow me at Lisoul Paints. LISOUL Paints.
Yes. And as far as sex talk, just hashtag Sex Talk Saturdays. You could find us on YouTube, on I think we're on Instagram and on Twitter. I'm like, we're all over the place. Find us, hashtag Sex Talk Saturday, find us. And my name's Amanda. I am Miss Lyric Lee on Instagram, and I will see you there.
Yes,
Hey,
we
I
will put
love
out
it.
this information, on our YouTube, Instagram, all of the good stuff, just so you guys could,
We don't
also
remember
check
all
out
of our
the
platforms either. See, it's not just you.
Okay.
just so you all go to their pages and see their wonderful work. So yeah, don't worry, we got you. We're gonna have
Uh,
all the information. So
yes.
so you guys, you guys are gonna stay with us on final thoughts. And what is your final thought, Vanessa? What do you have to say?
Oh, I talked
You
a
always
lot.
ask me first.
I kn- you did this on purpose. I see your wily ways. Um, my final thoughts. Final thoughts. We have an audience, a live audience. So
Oh,
yes, get tested. For those of you who are parents, if there are so many issues and conversations about what is being taught in school and what's not, then teach your damn kids at home. It is never too early because you don't want them getting information from the wrong place or having uncomfortable situations. And teach them what consent actually looks like, not just don't touch, don't this, do not. You like really talk about those kinds of things. Um, and also, when you're discovering, try to not feel shame about it. Like you've obviously chosen this person to share the experience. Allow yourself to enjoy it. Sex is fun, y'all.
And to
Final
add
thought.
and to add on to that, if you have any questions, ask. If you feel uncomfortable, say so. If you want to explore, go right ahead and do so. Go do your research, go ask all your friends. Go just do what makes you comfortable. And remember, you can always say no. You can always say yes, whatever your choice is. But don't sit there and do it because you feel like that is the right thing to do. Don't feel pressured. And again, get tested. Do all the wonderful things, but get tested. And have fun. Safe sex. It's great sex. You know. And remember, no shame. There's no shame in this. This is awesome and a wonderful thing to do and to talk about. So that's all on our end. What about you? You Lisa and Amanda, what is your final thoughts to this?
shit. Final thoughts. Enjoy yourself. Your pleasure is so important. I really want to add on to the whole shame thing. It just hits my soul every time someone says it. Uh, you shouldn't feel shame, you know, with your own sexual self, whatever that definition is for you, as long as you ain't hurt nobody. Like,
I love that.
Mm,
um, yeah. And yes means yes, no means no, and silence is not a yes. That's what I got for you.
Exactly.
I'm gonna let them
I
know.
like, I like that.
Like,
Vanessa,
yeah,
you
you're all
feel me?
great. I don't know. I guess my final thought is educate yourselves. Um, read, read. I love Toby that you said that. It's
Reading is essential. That's
reading is so
literally on our
essential.
mugs.
The more you know, check your sources, check your sources, check your sources. And join us on Sex Talk Saturday.
Hell yeah.
Yes. And like we always say, stay fearless, everybody.
Stay
Good
fearless,
night.
fam. See
Bye,
you
baby.
Thank
Monday.
Thank you
you.
so much,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you guys so much.